I said, "Oh God, what happened to the children?" I reached the middle of the field when they came and knocked me to the ground. We couldn't turn on the electricity at night because if we did, they would hit us with mortars or rockets. He used to provide everything for us. We loved our father very much. Those days are gone. Now we live in misery and hardship.
From human atrocities and terror, to resilience and enduring achievements.
Chamtal
Documentary.
Chamtal
The Green District. This district is located 43 kilometers to the southwest of Balkh province. Most of its residents are engaged in farming, gardening, and livestock farming. Before the beginning of the Western occupation, people in this district lived in peace, security, and a safe environment, enjoying lives full of love and brotherhood. However, the 20-year Western occupation brought no happiness to them. Instead, the shadow of terror spread over their lives, with scenes of blackened human suffering. Alongside the rusted iron of old tanks, the cries of children, the wails of grieving mothers, and the terrifying funerals became a constant reminder of their sorrow. In this region, there is no family that has not lost its loved ones. Raids, ground operations, and heavy bombings increased day by day. The village imam grew tired of burying martyrs, the carpenter exhausted from making coffins, and people were worn out from the constant burying of the fallen. During the past 20 years of occupation, this mud brick village was reduced to rubble and turned into ruins. Houses, shops, livestock, and possessions were looted, and the harvests of the once green fields were consumed by the flames of war. This is the cemetery of Chamtal district in Balkh province. The flags standing on the graves testify to the martyrdom of the noble martyrs. Many aspirations have been buried beneath the soil here. We have traveled through several different villages of this district, and we present to you the chilling and horrific documentary account of the 20-year catastrophe and the complete terror. This is Tarakai village. Every house, every tree, and every green plant in this village once absorbed the color of blood, and from every home, the sounds of grief, cries, and the wails of children echoed. Here, the stories of mourning for fathers, sons, and innocent children are clearly visible in their eyes from afar. Zain al-Abidin, the father of a martyr, whose heart is sometimes filled with bitter memories, and at other times, emptied, his eyes brimming with tears, recalls the horrors of this cruelty with a voice full of grief.
The place where these atrocities were committed, there were raids, the forces came. They fired shots. The whole night, there were continuous raids. The situation here was such that boys were martyred, some were injured. They hit all the trees, they destroyed the fort, meaning they destroyed the house. Inside the house, there was devastation, you could see the rooms had collapsed. We were displaced and lived in that condition day and night. A boy was martyred, the women were in terrible condition, and we ourselves were suffering the same. No one could say anything. By the time we realized what was happening, they had already gone and left us in that miserable state. You can imagine how bad it was. The situation was truly terrible. I wish they had only taken our belongings. But instead, our children were displaced, torn apart emotionally, and scattered.
This is Bravo 1. The commandos are moving punks to my building, just so you know.
The dark clouds of the invasion at once robbed them of all their hopes and joys. Another resident of the Tarakai village, Shah Khan, recounts his story of being wounded during the brutal occupation.
The DC mortar landed here. My brother was injured too. That destroyed area you see behind, where we had planted, a mortar landed there, a DC mortar shell, and my brother was wounded. Two of my uncle's sons were also injured. Even now, we still have wounded people in the village. As for our livestock, we're too ashamed to even talk about it. They were killed in the streets, our animals were struck down there. We have witnesses. We even have video footage. Such atrocities were committed against us. Raids were carried out. We were caught and detained during these raids. Houses were shelled in the middle of the night. They showed no mercy to human lives. Guests were in our house. They were stripped of dignity, beaten, humiliated. They set our motorcycle on fire just because we had covered it with a blanket.
The mortar landed here, I've marked the spot. I was injured here. Our livestock were standing right there, look at those holes in the wall. 14 animals died there. Our villagers came and my another brother was among them. He arrived and while I was being carried, my brother-in-laws from Pashmakala arrived with their cars. They brought them and I was also taken along with the children. My brother was in Pashmakala, someone had called him, so he came too amidst all the chaos. When the forces left, among them was someone familiar, he guided us and we got out. I was unconscious for half an hour bleeding. Then the villagers came, my brother came and lifted me up. The Pashmakala vehicle arrived. In that moment, they took all of us, the kids and myself, to Pashmakala. Only one of my brothers stayed behind at the house, the rest all left.
My son was here, this was our home. They pulled everyone out, the women, the sons, the little children. I have a small guest house here, they put all of them in that guest house. When the mortars landed, it was the will of God, his time had come, but because of the disbelievers, he was martyred. Everyone in the village knows about this. He was a child, 10 or 12 years old. God took him away from me.
Raids and bombings shattered every home in this village, and each person remembers it as a bitter memory of their martyr. They have committed such atrocities and horrors on Afghan soil that have never been repeated in the history of humanity. This grieving man, whose brother had just graduated from school, saw the invaders turn his dreams of hope into a pool of red blood.
My brother, he was 2 years younger than me, about 16 or 18 years old. He was studying both in school and in a religious madrasa. We had hopes that he would become someone, that he would be educated and achieve something in life. We were eating lunch when the shooting started. It was around noon, and the firing continued until 2 p.m. We didn't leave the house, fearing the bullets. Our uncle's son's car was parked outside. They fired on it, damaged the car, shattered its windows, and also hit our house. You can see for yourself, his blood is still here. My brother, Safatullah, was martyred. The situation was severe. The windows of the rooms shattered, injuring children and women. There was no way to evacuate. A heavy shell struck, killing him instantly. We couldn't bury him that same day. The next day, we finally held the funeral. That day, no one could come. The shelling continued. We couldn't prepare anything. It was a battlefield. We had to leave it. The villagers came, and we buried him the next day.
This frail, gray-haired man, shattered by the death and separation of his 2 sons and wife, stands beside their graves. The flags placed on their tombs are the only signs left, breaking his heart and leaving him empty every time he gazes upon them.
These are the martyrs. We were left heartbroken. These are my sons. That's their mother. We were displaced. You can see it for yourself. Their mother, and all of them were martyred. They were torn to pieces. We were left wandering. It was such a tragedy. On the 3rd day, They buried them too. They were shattered into pieces. They were just working in the fields when it happened.
In this region, even the funeral rites of the martyrs could not be held peacefully. People could not even go to the mosques for prayer. The books and notebooks of school students and madrasa pupils were also stained with red blood.
The incident that happened was at 12 a.m. We had a martyr on the same day. We brought the martyr from the same route. The martyr was behind the castle, his brain was missing, even his brain was sticking out of his head. They started shooting mortars, and from that side they took the shotgun in that area. The mortar came and hit here. This is where, may God forgive him, my uncle died. A mortar hit inside the courtyard. After we loaded the deceased body, we were taking it there. There is a cemetery there, maybe you will know. When we reached that area, they pulled out the mortars and hit the body with about 12 or 13 mortars. Children were injured, people were injured, everyone was torn apart. The body remained in place after an hour or two. A few people from the village gathered and went to bury the body. We came back, even though we were in a bad mood for days. They prayed at home. When it was time for worship, they would eat a dish. The man who came running said, "We didn't have any sleep." I couldn't go to the mosque. Sometimes we didn't even know when the mosque had the call to prayer in the village. There were 6 of us. Sometimes we would go to the mosque for prayer. We would wonder if anyone was there. They told us not to go to the mosque. We didn't go. We were afraid of going. There was no chance to go to the mosque in the evening. That same dead body which I saw it once with my own eyes. I saw it being hit by a mortar, and then the people started running. They used to shot with shotgun. It was such a terrifying sight. We were with the dead body.
The occupation has ended, but the condition of the village still bears witness to the horrors that took place.
We have witnessed a lot of destruction from the war. Many of our people became martyrs. Many were injured. They even came to our homes while we were carrying the body. They shot at the body. Many people got injured while we were carrying the body. Even during weddings, people got injured. The raids came to our weddings. We have been through very difficult times. They even shot at us in the mosques. Our mosque became a martyr. They shot at it during these bombings. We couldn't gather for our prayers during those times.
The villagers not only suffered personal losses but also saw their farmlands and ripe crops, the golden wheat, consumed by black gunpowder flames. Farmers were martyred while working in their fields, and the barrels of guns were aimed at the wool of their livestock.
Our lands remained barren. We went to the farmers, but they were sent away. We couldn't take our livestock, cattle and sheep, to the pastures. They took our livestock from here and looted them. They killed the shepherds. Even our own people witnessed that they took 4 of our livestock and killed the shepherds. We were trapped in such a hard situation, especially in the final stages of the war. We suffered a great loss. Our houses were bombed. They came to our houses. Our livestock was destroyed. Our children were hungry, and our elders were suffering.
In the minds of every resident of the Taraki village, the horrors of the Western invaders still create images of fear and oppression. People could not light their homes out of fear, because whenever they saw a glimpse of light, their homes would be bombed.
My brother was at home. We were working in the fields doing farming. I am a farmer, working on my own land at night. We couldn't turn on the electricity. If we did, they would shoot at us with a mortar or a rocket. There were military bases here before. He was 21 years old, and we were arranging his engagement during those days. They took him from us and left us with sorrow. Our father and mother were so heartbroken that their condition has not improved to this day.
These atrocities were not only committed by the invaders, but also by the institutions they had established.
We had our livestock tied here. 3 tanks came. The tanks opened fire. When they opened fire, I came out of the door, and they fired at me. When I went back in, the bullet struck the door, hit the wall, and then hit this other wall. There were donkeys here. They shot the donkeys too. They also shot the cows. The tanks came and stopped here. 8 tanks stopped at the school area. Others stopped in the alley they bombed. They shelled the fort. Not a single window in these nearby houses remained intact. All the glasses were shattered up to that house over there.
The tales of the brutal atrocities committed by the savage-natured invaders in the village of Taraki cannot be fully captured in this short documentary. However, we have presented a few small examples as a glimpse of the whole. After Tarakai village, we now head to the Naushar Ali Zo village in the Chamtal district. Here too, many homes sit under the shadow of grief and sorrow, and many innocent young children have raised their small hands, with tear-filled eyes lifted to the sky, praying for their martyred fathers.
Our father, he was martyred in an American airstrike. He used to take care of us. He would have been here with us today. If he were alive, he would buy us things for Eid. We would be in our father's arms. It would have brought us great joy.
These children are repeatedly overcome with grief in remembrance of their fathers, as the occupation has robbed them of all their hopes and joys in life. Such dark and sorrowful nights also visited the village of Naushar Ali Zo, during which the coffins of 30 young men were carried on the shoulders of mourners. By morning, every tree and plant had drooped its green leaves in mourning.
Very intense fighting took place in this area. There were many severe raids. Hundreds of night raids were carried out at night. Such conditions would come that people would flee their homes. There were airstrikes, rockets, and raids like these. People were martyred. Children, women, everyone in this community, this village, and that village too. In this village, there was a raid in one night where 22 people were martyred, and 8 others were injured.
There were 5 motorcycles parked here. They burned all 5 of them. These rooms were hit with bullets. They also shot this one. There was bedding here and a bed on top. They burned all of it. Bullets hit this house. Look at the mirrors. This is where they were. What wrong have we done? Show us our crime. They shot this window. The window fell down. Look at these rooms. All of them were shot at. These are all bullet marks. What is our sin? Show us our sin. We were just farmers. They raided our home 5 times and destroyed everything. I was going to prayer when the raid happened. We couldn't go for evening prayer. We couldn't even pray properly. We went through very hard times. So hard that we couldn't sleep or eat in peace. We couldn't even eat a piece of bread peacefully. 3 of my sons were martyred. All 3 were young. The eldest was 25 years old. They weren't old men, they were young. One of them left behind 2 orphans. I had arranged engagement for one, but not yet for the other. Both left behind orphan daughters. They are young and helpless. What had we done to the Americans? What was our fault that they raided us like this, even with dogs? We couldn't even step out of our home.
The man-eating black dragon claimed a victim from every household in the village, leaving all its people seated on the mat of grief.
There were such raids. One of my nephews was martyred. Now his children are left orphaned. Another brother of mine was also martyred. His children too are now orphans. There were so many raids. They raided and bombed as well. They killed many people. Nearly 20 to 25 people were martyred. My son, he too was martyred. And another, both of them were martyred.
The American occupation inflicted deep wounds on many fathers through the pain of losing their young children, turning their hearts into graves of sorrow. Here, horror had reached its final threshold. Even the lifeless bodies of martyrs were dragged behind vehicles, and living humans were torn apart by savage beasts.
There were very harsh raids on this village, extremely harsh out of all places.
The village of Moment in Shamtol district, Noshar,
was hit the hardest. Many people were martyred. People were bombed and torn into pieces. Raids were carried out, and houses were destroyed. You see these shops? One night they came, planted bombs in all of them, and blew up all the doors for no reason. They would shoot from here, targeting houses and villages. People were in severe pain and hardship, suffering terribly to such an extent that many people disappeared. All of these are orphans, their fathers were martyred.
Even educational and health centers here were not spared from the invaders' attacks. Patients who had come seeking treatment were brutally martyred alongside doctors, their blood staining the clinic floors, a grim reminder that mercy had no place in the eyes of the occupiers.
There were 2 sick people here and others who had come with them, the family members. They were patients, civilians brought here for treatment at that time. It wasn't possible to go to Mazar-e Sharif because of the situation, so they were brought here. They were civilians. They were hit. All of them were martyred. 3 members of one family were martyred. It was around 11 p.m., then the aircraft left after striking the area. When civilians came, some of the martyrs were buried under the rubble, and 1 injured person martyred the next day later. Civilians pulled them out and we took one to the hospital, but he martyred there. The other 3 martyred on the spot. Here's what happened. There was a clinic here, patients from our house and the village. Everyone from the area would come here for treatment. It was around 11 p.m., give or take. A drone was flying and dropped a bomb. 3 people from one family were martyred and 3 or 4 others were injured. The doctor, the boy standing here, was under the wall, buried in the rubble. When people came looking, they pulled him out while gathering the martyrs. People were asking, "Where's Dr. Shah Muhammad?" They found him under the debris and pulled him out. He was alive.
We now conclude the heartbreaking account of horrors, oppression, and torment in Naushar Alizu village, and continue our journey toward the village of Babairian. Babairian village. The people here may appear physically weak, but their faith and conviction remain unshakable. Nakabolla's father, along with several other villagers, was martyred in an airstrike at this very spot. The memory of his father's love has carved streams of tears down his cheeks.
My name is Nakabula. My father was sitting here, working and earning a living. He was sitting with people when he was martyred. He used to provide everything for us. We loved our father very much. Those days are gone. Now we live in misery and hardship.
The savage invaders martyred this child's greatest treasure, the beacon of his hopes, and forever deprived him of his father's presence and the comfort of divine mercy in this world. For Nakabola, life without a father is painfully difficult, marked by relentless hardships and sorrow. The vicious raids, heavy bombings, and terror left no one untouched in the village. Women, children, the elderly, and the youth, all segments of society were not spared from these atrocities. Here, many fathers mourn the loss of their sons, sisters grieve for their young brothers, and mothers endure the heartbreaking pain of losing their beloved children. All their hopes have been taken away, and this sorrow continues to haunt them every moment, causing profound emotional and psychological distress.
A bomb hit the house. One woman was seriously injured, a piece of shrapnel is still lodged in her head. She is still disabled, she is still suffering from that injury.
In the fire of occupation, we moved towards another village in this district. Nawabad, the prosperous village of
Chamtal,
whose residents have all been left grieving the loss of their loved ones at the hands of the infidel forces.
I was the imam of the mosque in Nawabad. I came out of the house. My children were here. All of us were together. They blocked off the area. We were walking in this alley. These children, one was my grandson, two were my sons. I said, "Oh God, what happened to the children?" I reached the middle of the field when they came and knocked me to the ground. This is how our life was in the end. Other people came after me. They took me and brought me to my house at their house. I told them, "Let me go, let me go."
It was like this. I was sitting in the courtyard, maybe 5, 8, or 10 people were with me. We were sitting there. It was afternoon when a plane came and bombed us. It knocked down our doors. It destroyed our walls. The entire area was covered in dust and debris. A woman in our house was wounded. She was hit by shrapnel from the bombs. To this day, our walls are ruined. Our courtyard is in ruins. Much of my life has passed like this. My beard has turned white from all the hardship and struggles of life. Now my children are on my shoulders. The burden is all on me. I don't even understand who those oppressors were. They ran away and disappeared, whether they were Americans, Arbaki, local militias, or some other calamity. They vanished. They left behind nothing but sorrow for us. We have no mosque left, no house, no children.
The American occupiers ravaged many regions, leaving no family untouched by pain and sorrow. In an era supposedly defined by reason and civilization, they created a shameful history of horror.
After the afternoon prayer, we used to gather 4 or 5 of us outside the shop, just sitting and chatting. Then American planes came. They dropped a bomb. When the bomb fell, we were all blown apart, scattered. I was buried under the soil. I thought, I'm not alive anymore, I'm gone. But later, as the planes flew off, people came running. They pulled me out and took me to the hospital. When I regained consciousness 2 or 3 days later, I saw I had no legs. Later, when they questioned me, they told me, your brother has been martyred. I was overwhelmed with grief. My heart was broken now. I just asked God for help. That's my story, brother. That's what happened.
We were
herding animals. There were 2 other children with me. I was walking along the path. We said, "Let's go home." On the way, a bomb exploded. It martyred the other 2. They were my uncle's sons. And I was wounded. Another uncle of mine was also injured. They took us to the district center. The Arbaki wouldn't let us take a vehicle. They took us to Mazar. There, we were taken to a civilian hospital. I stayed there 2 or 3 months. My father was arrested, accused by the Arbaki of being a Talib. He was imprisoned. I was in the hospital, bedridden. Only one uncle was with me. No one else for some time. My father remained imprisoned. I stayed in the hospital with my leg injured. Later, after they did surgeries, they discharged me. I wanted to grow up, to study, to learn, to play like the other children now. When I see other children playing, my heart aches, I think. I wish I were healthy, so I could work, play, so I could study.
By documenting these events, it will become clear whether the Western world is an advocate for human rights or an agent of human atrocities. Despite the fact that the Western world claims to uphold human rights in the era of rationality and modernity, the 20-year occupation of Afghanistan, during which they committed atrocities such as those witnessed in the horrors of
Chamtal district,
reveals a stark contradiction. The outcomes of the crimes and atrocities not only failed to weaken the Islamic beliefs and spirit of the people in this region, but instead, they strengthened their resolve, firmed their determination, and their longing for freedom grew stronger with each passing day. Ultimately, the spirit of Islam was reignited within them, particularly transforming into a call for struggle and sacred jihad in the path of Allah, fueled by the noble motivations of fighting for His cause. With the occupation came the need for organized efforts and structures to fulfill the noble cause of holy struggle and jihad. Ultimately, with divine support, this cause of truth transitioned from mere rhetoric to practice, achieving victory and conquest. As a result, the oppressive and tyrannical regimes of the time were shaken and collapsed, and truth found its rightful place against falsehood. After escaping the clutches of occupation,
Chamtal is
now living in an atmosphere of independence and peace. Alhamdulillah. With the establishment of the Islamic system in the country, the people of this area have returned to their homes and normal lives once again. Farmers are tending to their fields, students are continuing their studies, and shopkeepers are running their businesses in a peaceful environment. The people of this village now begin their mornings with new hopes, and their nights are filled with complete tranquility. Children play in excitement and joy, while the youth, with the arrival of the Islamic Emirate, hum their songs of happiness and celebration. These people, in gratitude for the freedom and independence bestowed upon them by the Almighty, raise their hands in prayer during the 5 daily prayers and prostrate in thanks to their great Lord. As a national, independent, and dedicated media outlet, we reflect the voice of the people. And we present to citizens and the international community the atrocities, horrors, and crimes that occurred during the 20-year occupation of Afghanistan, in a documentary format. If you have also witnessed events such as raids, atrocities, horrors, or other crimes committed by foreign occupying forces during the 20-year occupation in your area, you can share them with us via WhatsApp. This will allow us to document them in both our national languages and in English and Arabic, prioritizing their broadcast on the national TV screen. Our contact number: 074 434 3668.